Really?
I didn't say that.
Wow. Okay, we are live. Okay, folks, we're going to get started. Please silence your gadgets. We'll get rolling with an invocation by Julie, pledge by Terry. You're welcome to join us. If you wish to, please stand.
Please bow your heads. Father, we come to you in a world of chaos. Please quiet our hearts and minds. We pray for your people throughout the world and their safety. We are before you preparing to conduct the work of our county today. Give us the wisdom and guide our discussions. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you both. Madam Clerk, when you're ready, will you please call the roll?
Bell,
Here.
Curran,
Here.
Freeling, present, Harrison,
Here.
Hinkleman,
Here.
Majeri,
Here.
Meeks,
Here.
Scott,
Here.
Ballrat,
Here.
Werfel,
Here.
Yarborough, Elliott.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 12 present.
Thank you. Minutes from last week from the 10th were circulated. Haven't heard of any changes, but just in case if there are any, let's take care of that. And if not, a motion to approve is in order.
Mr. Chair, I would make that motion
To approve?
to approve.
Thank you. Is there support? Supported by Verkel. So moved, I'm sorry. Moved by Freeling, supported by Volrath. I combined Werfel and Volrath and made Verfel. I apologize. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, I understand we have communications.
Yes, you received two communication, one from Iron County Board of Commissioners, a resolution urging the return of state workers to in-person operations, received on March 14th, an email newsletter from Clara Juggerman, Berrien County 4-H Program Coordinator, the Berrien County Spotlight 4-H Family News March in the April edition, received on March 14th. That's all.
Very good, thank you. We're now at the point of having public comments about resolutions that are on the agenda. That includes the three added resolutions ending in 17, 18, and 19. So if anyone has anything to say about resolutions, this is the time. If not, we will proceed to the consent calendar, and that will include those three added resolutions. All right. Consent calendar, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar, including the three added resolutions? Moved by Harrison, is there support? Support. Supported by Scott, is there discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Curran,
Yes.
Freeling,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Hinkleman,
Yes.
Majerick,
Yes.
Meeks,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Ballrat,
Yes.
Werfel,
Yes.
Yarborough,
Yes.
Bell,
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, you have 12 yeas.
Very good, thank you. We'll go to committees. Mr. Admin Chair, will you lead us off?
Thank you, Matt. This morning, we had our prosecutor, Steve Perengeli, in to see us, and he introduced two ladies, an Amanda and a Caitlin from Children's Advocacy Center of Southwest Michigan. And they talked about all the good work that they do and the support that they provide to the prosecutor's office. And one of the things that Steve suggested that we were very responsive to was an invitation from the Board of Commissioners to tour their facility. They actually, the Children's Advocacy deals with, children who are victims of sexual assaults. And so they have a mock courtroom. They have interview rooms where the police and the prosecutor can sit behind, a one-way mirror and can monitor and listen to what's going on. The forensic interviewer, who is from the child advocacy, has an earpiece where if there are any questions from the police or the prosecutor's office, they can convey that to the interviewer. And so we might hear more about that, Brian, about setting up a tour. And I would encourage the commissioners, if we can attend on that particular day, that would be good. The other thing that I wanted to point out is they do approximately 600 interviews a year, and not all of those are founded. They do interviews I guess, investigatory interviews to determine if something did occur. And there are many times when nothing did occur. So that's all part of that 600 number. Okay, then after the prosecutor, we had Paul Jenkins Jr. from the Public Defender's Office, along with his chief assistant, Caitlin Locke. And his presentation to us, he's also going to make this presentation to PHS. He is asking for additional staff for juvenile defense contracts. Right now, he's not pleased with the way the juvenile contracts are being handled. In other words, the work that those contracted attorneys are performing is not up to his standard. So what he has proposed, and he proposed this to MIDC to fund this whole department or portion of the Public Defender's Office, and it's from a special projects fund. And the state is very receptive to funding this. And basically what he would like to do is hire 2 attorneys, 1 investigator, and 1 social worker. So you're looking at 4 FTEs into the Public Defender's Office for a total, and this is everything included, is about $502,000. That is completely paid for by MIDC, by the state. And again, these would be worded similar to what we do with the health department. These are funded positions by the state. When that funding goes away, that position goes away. But Paul thinks this will help immensely in the defense of juveniles. He showed us one statistic that says that there's only been 1 contested juvenile court case in 6 years. And he thinks that is totally unacceptable. So he's going to take it to PHS next. If PHS agrees and the whole board agrees, then he will submit this to MIDC and hopefully get the funding. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Just a question. I thought we had approved a lot of these contract attorneys for the courts. Where is that going to leave us standing just because he doesn't like them? I mean, aren't we the ones that signed the contract to approve the contract for these, right, for these attorneys? So if that's the case, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, then that voids the contract and then we go along with this? Or is this an addition to, and then the contract, we're just paying money out for nobody to do anything?
Yes, we'll still have the contract. We'll still have contracted juvenile attorneys. This is specifically to take the most severe juvenile cases that are being ignored now, that Paul feels is not being sufficiently defended.
And to follow up on that statement.
Yeah, please.
The county is the contract holder, and the contractor has been provided very clear, and I would describe it as stern language on the deficiencies in the contracted defense. So they've been put on notice that their improvement has to occur. And that's something that we are going to be trying to hold their feet to the fire. But I would remind the board that a year ago when we went out to bid for contracted defense, we had 1 bidder, the original contractor. This is something that, from my perspective, if Paul's team can take this on and get it paid for 100% by the state of Michigan, this could be a model that could be sustainable. We won't know until we allow the process to play out. The board is hearing about it from admin. It will next go to PHS to ensure that should the state remove any funding, that thereby the positions are eliminated. Should the board want more information, I'm sure that Paul would be willing to present to the full board.
Could you please, excuse me, Chair, could you have our corporate counsel read through those contracts and find out whether or not they're being paid by case? If they're being paid by case, then we are actually taking money away from them. I don't want to see anything, us get caught up in a trick bag and we're going to have to pay and they're not going to have to work. You know what I mean? That's what I'm really worried about, because I mean, it's so easy for that, something like that to happen. I just, if he could check on it for us.
That process has been underway for weeks. We anticipated that concern. We don't want to reward the contractor for doing a crummy job.
Correct.
So
Thank you.
we're on the same page there.
And Paul told us in our meeting that the juvenile contracts right now amount to about $78,000 a year. That's it. Okay.
He also said it's a huge concern nationwide and our commission is very much looking for ways to, you know, get the juvenile system better, and if they can put some money towards that, I think we also be very willing to be happy with it, because we'd be one of the first ones again.
Jim,
Okay.
anything else?
One other thing I forgot to mention, this comes from the prosecutor's office. It's a 3-on-3 basketball
Jim,
youth tournament.
Public Defender's Office.
Oh, I'm sorry, Paul Janka. Save the date, June 11th and 12th. It's in cooperation with the Boys and Girls Club. And it's going to be, I think he said there's 2 different divisions, like the younger age group will be in one, and then the high school kids will be in another. I referenced it to like a mini Gus Macker, and he said, yeah, that's pretty similar. So we have that for you as well. We had our chair and our county administrator come in. We talked about some of the things that were talked about in finance with the ARPA money, and we approved that resolution, and administration committee thanks you for that. That's our report.
Questions for admin? Okay, Mr. Chair of PHS.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We also met this morning. We had 2 advanced step hire requests, one from Public Defender's Office for an additional assistant attorney, and we did approve that, well-qualified individual, and then also one from Building and Grounds, and we did approve that also. Both these individuals are both experienced and will be going into existing positions, you know, that are vacant. We also had Jill Adams come in from to give us an update on the parks and recreation programs. We talked a bit about the strategic plan for the parks department, including Silver Beach, as well as some of the other things that they've got going on. So, you know, good report from Jill. A lot of opportunities in the coming years. Due to the unavailability of our board chair and county administrator, we did have our shadow administrator, Annette Christie, come in and talk with us about a number of issues, and talked about the trail study. And then Mr. Majerick reminded us of a road project about 4 years ago where there was allocation by the commission for a study to talk about roads and trails. And so we'll do some research on that. So there's not really been an update on that. And so that concluded our meeting. Thank you.
Questions for PHS about their abbreviated meeting today? All right, very good. Thank you. Madam Finance Chair.
Thank you very much. Our meeting started off with our administrator and chair, and we discussed the resolutions, the added resolutions that we just voted on. I thank you all for passing them. And then our financial analyst, Jake Lederker, opened some bids, and I'd ask Commissioner Ezra Scott to report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We opened up 2 bids. The first one was asphalt emulsion for the roads. Project cost, estimated cost is $2,554,000, and there were 400,000 gallons, I believe, of emulsion, and then another 130,000 gallons of different emulsion. You can look at all of my little sheets on how much each piece was, if you would like. And it turned out that we sent it out to 4 bidders, 2 responded, and there was only 1 bid that gave prices. The other person who did respond to the bid said, no, thank you. I mean, they sent they sent it all in an envelope. It was really nice and everything, just to say, no, thank you. So anyway, we just opened them, okay? The next one was for the road department also, is a dump body and plow installation. Projected cost $70,000. They're for Boss plows for the new trucks that we ended up getting, I believe the 1 tons. And the price went anywhere from $67,818.86 to the high bid of $73,086. We used the road department motion on both of these and sent them back to the road department for their purview and specifications and to go with the lowest possible bidder. And if there was a problem, they had to come back to us if it wasn't the lowest bidder. It's my report.
Thank you. And then the next thing we did is I had waiver requests, and we had discussed this one item last week. It's for ammunition for the sheriff's department, and it will cost $101,094. And we expect the delivery of this ammunition in '23. Everything is so far behind. And we have some on back order now that we've already asked for. And so we're trying to, stay up with what we need. And then the other one was through the IT department. We have a company that does mail, email, and text notifications when the weather's bad or some other county emergency. And our director wanted to make some changes or whatever. And so we passed, or we consensus that, or whatever the word is. And then we had a number of resolutions. Again, we passed them today. And then we approved the weekly bills, we approved road payables, and we approved the minutes from March 10th. Anything else? That's our report.
Anything for finance? All right, commissioner reports, we'll start here and go clockwise.
Just a reminder, today, 12:30 in this room, we'll be discussing broadband, the application for ARPA funds. We'll also have it March 31st. I think I sent an email with the electronic flyer to all of you to be able to push that forward. And I hope you'll be able to attend if you would like to. Yes, sir.
For all of the board. So Commissioner Freeling just talked about the 12:30 today. Last night, anyone who had RSVP'd to join via Zoom, I sent them notice that we were going to send a revised Zoom to ensure that we had connectivity to this room. So if you have any of your townships, your city folks planning to attend that you're aware of, let me know. I'll make sure that they get the revised Zoom information. And moreover, if your phones start ringing at 12:35 because people can't get connected, call my cell phone and I will make sure that we get the Zoom information out to them. Okay? All right, thank you. No report.
No report.
No report. I had 2 meetings, but both yesterday, actually. First Parks, the Parks Department, that you probably heard most of in PHSC. But one of the things we did was we approved moving forward with the Silver Beach plan to continue the analysis and finding out all of the information and the details so that they can, potentially come before us with a plan to move that forward. The other thing is anybody in any locations within the county, they are hiring for summer help at all of the parks. So if you know somebody, have a contact of somebody that's in touch with, maybe some high school kids that might be looking for some summer jobs, they can be flexible with things in the parks. So, we're just not getting the applicants. So please get the word out to anybody that you might know so that we can get some more help in the parks. Madeline Bertrand, I know, is one. They are just desperate right now. They don't have enough staff to be able to open to their full hours again. So we need to really, down in South County, help them out. But I know they need help at Silver Beach, all of the parks, Love Creek, all of them. So no matter where you're located, reach out to your contacts, please.
I could be a lifeguard.
And then we also, last night, we had the Community Action Agency meeting immediately following Parks in the same room. And a couple of things we talked about, the water distribution in Benton Harbor is still going fine. It's really not going it's not that many anymore. So it's just kind of happening. The COVID rental programs, the SERA programs and things like that are still going, the rental assistance are still going on. A question was brought up, there's some broadband, there's a number of, I know, areas that are looking at affordability for broadband, and the SMCAA does have broadband assistance, so under the SERA program. So if you have anybody that's looking for that, now you do have to be a renter to qualify for that, but there is an application process. So beyond the $30 internet refund, there's also a SERA program that's available to help with internet affordability. That's my report.
Thank you.
I visited the Riverwood meeting last night. Thank you very much. And a couple of good presentations. One was a family out of Buchanan that had two twins, and they're severely handicapped. Riverwood has been helping them along since their youth. They have graduated from high school. They have a nurse that comes in because the family is divorced now, and the dad is taking care of them, a young man. And they have a nurse come in 6 to 8 hours a day to help them so that he can go out and actually work and get out of the house. His whole goal, and Riverwood sponsored putting in a bathtub for them or a shower so that it's easier for them to take baths every day, because it's very hard in the old bathtub. They would slip, many times fall. So they're taking care of that. His main goal is to get them walking someday in the future on their own. Logan Center then stopped in, did a program. And of course, Logan Center deals with autism. They had 123 employees before COVID, and they dropped down to around 60 during COVID. A lot to do with the unemployment that was paying more money than they could pay. So they're in the process of hiring them back, and they've got them up to 91. And what they did was they went outside the regular sources of hiring and went to Indeed. And if somebody applies to Indeed, they have 3 people that will look up their social media, will contact them within hours and do an interview and try to get them in, even though they still have high turnover, because some people just aren't used to working with young kids that are handicapped. They've built it up to 91, and they think the program's working. They still need 10 to 15 more people, but they're on their way back, and it's exciting for them to get back. And then also we had the third was let me get to it. The Suicide Prevention Coalition of Berrien County. And they are a program that is trying to stop suicides in Berrien County, which we're in the average of 21 suicides a year. 4 of them would be like female, 20 would be male. In the last 10 years, suicide has increased 50%. In the last 20 years, it's increased 100%. And since COVID, it's gone up drastically. They started a program called mantherapy.org. Anybody can get on it. And it's videos, it's Zooming, and the website is mantherapy.org. And they will communicate with you in a humorous way and also serious way to help men in Berrien County and across the country. And I'm going to pass this around just in case anybody wants to write it down or look at it. I'll give it to Jim. And I'll also pass around the annual report. Now, the good thing, or the interesting thing about the Suicide Prevention Coalition, they are not funded by anybody. They are 100% volunteer. They have no paid staff. And I was thinking, I don't know if there's any place for them to use ARPA funds because they're running out of money because of all the suicides. If there's anything for them, if they have to put in, I don't know if it can be used because since COVID, it's gone up. So I'll pass this around anyway. Brian, if you have any suggestions, let me know. And that's my report.
The only report that I have is I had one meeting that I attended, and it was the land bank. And due to my late arrival home, I forgot to bring my notes with me, and I see that Mamie is also, and she has all the notes, so I'm deferring.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I attended the land bank meeting. I attended 2 land bank meetings. The week before, when we got here, there was not a quorum, and I was in the building, I think, when you didn't have a quorum, and so they set it again for you. When was it? March 10th, Tuesday. Is that what it was? And so there were things that were extremely important. They needed our motion and our signature. And there was an election of officers, and the elected treasurer of the county is automatically the chairperson. And so Shelley White is the chairperson still. We needed a secretary, and we nominated Catherine Wycamp, and she accepted, and we needed a treasurer, Dale Crittner. And so those are our new officers for, I don't know how long it goes, 2022 anyway. I don't know if it goes for a number of years. And then another thing that we needed, it was really strange. And you find this, there was a house, no, there was a lot with a house on it. And then there was a lot next door with no house on it. But on the tax rolls, the house was on the lot that had no house in the lot. And there was a man living there.
Yeah.
And so when they got through with the city, it's in the city of Benton Harbor on Warwick. And when they got through with the city, Benton Harbor city assessor saw it, and they straightened it out. And there are a number of things like this all over Marion County. And so they sold a vacant lot, or one of the lots, to him for $250, and they're going to make it one lot. So after that, he'll be paying on one piece of property. And we had to vote for that, sign some papers and all. I had something I heard about Lemon Creek Road, but I don't know what it was.
Oh, that was the parcel that we received on Lemon Creek Road. And we put that into the Cornerstone Alliance.
Oh, that's where the factory used to be
the
with the
factory used to
railroad
be.
track.
Right.
And so it's something going on with it. Someone's interested in it.
Right.
That's what that was.
Yes.
Is that in Bridgman?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And they didn't tell us much, but that's what happened. Thank
Yeah.
you. And then yesterday I went to the Parks Commission meeting, and they do just great meetings. I think each department that's under the parks comes and they tell you what they're doing. And we talked a long time and saw the build the plans for Silver Beach. And at the end, they have a little 30-second or something commercial and just music. And so I'm hoping that will happen. It's just awesome, the things they want to do and need to do. And so, one thing I heard it on the radio on WSJM, that WNIT Public Broadcasting is making a program about Silver Beach. They think it's going to show in May. And they were real excited about it, and that they've learned so much that they didn't know. And so I look forward to seeing that. One thing they said that they're not going to do this summer, smooth jazz will not be one of the shows at Silver Beach, nor the country music game. Those are both through probably WSJM. So there'll be some changes and all, but still a lot of programs and weddings and all going on. That's it.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair, this just came to me, Commissioner Harrison. You were discussing the parks for the trails or something. This board, a few years ago, we passed a resolution and we paid, I believe it was $36,000 to do the study on the trails up on the Red Arrow Highway. And And Jason had reported on that, and Brian Bailey had reported on that. That was all done, and if you happen to remember, we had that big meeting over in Chickamine Township in the fire base on the results of that, and that's all I want to remember about that aspect, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
And I have one more thing that I just saw. On August 23rd, 2022, the sculpture And You Sees by Richard Hunt will have been there for 20 years. And Crazzle means to do, some kind of celebration for it.
Questions for finance? Do you have anything?
No, sir.
We're now at the point, since the administrator has already reported throughout the day, we're at general comments from the public. So anything under the sun you want to talk about in 2 minutes or less, just tell us your name and which political unit you live in, with either within the county or elsewhere. Okay, since the line has queued up and is quite long, I think we will assume that there aren't any public comments
Should be
today.
noted that Adolph is not here in the
Well-
minutes.
Yes. All right. Other business. Anybody have any other business? Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to take a moment just to acknowledge Jerry Mass, who is a supervisor for Gleen Township. He's here, and it's a pleasure to have him in the audience today. Thank you.
Welcome. And who's with you?
This is Joe Stannis, resident, and I've actually asked him to help join me when we get to the discussion on ARPA and the broadband funds. So, he came along today to kind of meet some of you I've met a few over the years. So I wanted to make sure you knew his face and that when he's involved with any of the discussions that he is working with us to help lead and get us ready. So thank you.
Okay, Jerry, didn't you just get selected or appointed as supervisor?
Yes, Bruce Williams, who had been supervisor for many years, passed away in November. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
board had a long illness and
Sure.
calamity. So yes, I was appointed in December and we'll be up for election this summer. So
Well, we know how that goes.
I
Oh,
don't know
good.
if I can publicly say that here though. So
Public comment. Yeah,
Sure.
Well, you did.
Well, good to see you both. If there's no other business, just a quick follow-up. In admin, we were talking about some of the things we talked about in finance, about sinking funds, about ARPA funds, about bonding, about how all those things can relate to one another, and public works projects and bonding for those. And it might be timely to just move back a few inches from the canvas, take a look at the whole painting, so to speak. And if you and your copious amounts of spare time would like to do that, and engage Thaddeus for some of the legal aspects of what we could do and how to best do it. Especially being mindful that with ARPA funds, I haven't seen anything that speaks to the ability to supplant general fund dollars with infrastructure. But just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it's not there. Would like to make sure that we're allowed to do that, because that would directly tie into whether we want to create a sinking fund and earmark some of those dollars that become unencumbered for a short period of time, but have them there when we need to fix a roof or a bridge, or even as some seed money for road projects. And also look at the public works bonding. I think the roads can go 10 or 15 years. If you're all okay with it, I'd rather know more than less right now in terms of what our options are and how to best go about coordinating things. Because the ARPA funds provide an opportunity that likely is not coming back. If it did, it would be generational. And the reason it came, we certainly don't want to come back. COVID or some other kind of pandemic. But if everyone's comfortable with tasking corporate counsel and the administrator with this, we can dovetail it with what we're doing with strategic planning and the resolutions that we've just launched today. Hopefully not trip over an elevated piece of sidewalk and fall on our faces in the process of doing this. So, since somebody mentioned elevated sidewalks somewhere. So, all right, with that, if there's no other business announcement, yes, ma'am.
I would like to say something to our administrator, and I don't mean to blindside you or anything, but I have notes. And so I wanted to ask you this, not expecting an answer, but expecting you to give some thought to it. There is a 15% excise tax that is charged to the cannabis dispensaries and things. And Benton Harbor has, I don't know how many. And my understanding is that this amount is 15%, but 7.5% will go to the city, 7.5% will go to the county. And I'd like to know, what does Berrien County, or what will we do with that money since it's coming from the city of Benton Harbor, where the, where the places are?
Sure. So between 9 and 12 months ago, we had a conversation of both the admin committee, personnel committee, and finance committee as it relates to this newly created marijuana tax and the revenue that flows into the county. At that time, we were getting some correspondence from local leadership in the city of Buchanan asking that we consider redirecting those dollars back to the local units under the argument that since they've allowed their zoning to opt in, that they were making the claim that they should receive the direct benefit. The consensus from those conversations with 3 different committees was the majority of the board said it's county revenue. You can use it however you wish. And so what we did was we just allowed it to flow into the general fund, and it's essentially just going into fund balance at this time. There was some conversation about trying to target the local units that opted in and allowed dispensaries to exist. There was some discussion about trying to partner with them for park projects. No formal resolution came out of those discussions. This was viewed generally as just a new revenue stream that has no defined expense plan. And so we're just allowing it to flow into fund balance. Should the board wish to revisit that, if you want to talk about narcotics enforcement, narcotics treatment.
Libraries.
Well, this is one that it's free and clear money. And it's money that is flowing into the county, and it's money that is likely to increase as the number of dispensaries and the number of sales goes up.
Yeah.
So this is something that I anticipate you're going to see on a year-to-year basis for many years to come. As we go through the budget process, from staff's perspective, it is an undesignated revenue source, and the board has a lot of flexibility in how it is used.
Thank you.
Yep.
And should be noted also, it's statutory.
What does that mean?
Well, the legislature put it in an appropriations bill. Once that's signed by the governor, it's law.
It's done.
So it's state law that specifies how those dispensary taxes, excise taxes, are collected and distributed. The reason we get the money is because the legislature said some should go to the counties.
Okay.
One of the other things we talked about was public health initiatives, perhaps in partnership with local units where we could look at matching dollars if a local unit was doing something to deal with some of the consequences of addiction. And I know there's some controversy about whether marijuana is or is not addictive. anything can be abused, whether it's alcohol, marijuana, whatever. So that was one of the other things we talked about. But the reason we get it is because there's a state law that says we get it.
Yeah.
Mac, just a quick follow-up on this, not to beat this to death, but the other revenue stream that is out there that should remain on the board's radar is we will be receiving opioid settlement dollars. And that's something that I believe as early as this May, you'll see your first payment. The way it works is year one, it's 2 payments. And then it spreads out to 18 years. 18.
Yeah.
So that money will flow in for the next 18 years. It is such a new revenue source that I would recommend that you let some dust settle on it. Wait to see if there are any challenges on the use of those revenues by other local units. But in total, you're gonna see anywhere between $4.5 and $5 million flow in on the opioid settlement, that it will have some strings attached to it, but if there is a desire to look at treatment services, that could be another funding source.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
All right, announcements and reminders. Next week, we aren't doing committee of the whole because we don't have anything to talk about. If that changes, we can always plug it back in, but as of right now, we would want to amend our notice for the board meeting next week to reflect that we will not have a committee of the whole at 8:35. And committees, if committees are meeting, if everybody wants to meet, may as well just start at 9:15 like normal. And then we will have our regular 10:30 meeting. To the disappointment of all of our full-time staff, I know they are gonna be just crestfallen that we are not here on the 31st in any capacity. Day off.
It should be noted that BC Bit agreed.
Yes,
so it's-
they are meeting.
BC Bit will be here.
They're here today at 12:30 and then on the 31st at 9 or 9:30, is it? 9 AM, yeah. So you won't have complete withdrawal and you'll have some presence here. But that, I think, is about it on what's here. Yeah, the BC Bit today at 12:30, 2 weeks from today, 9 AM. My congratulations to whoever scheduled that. And but I don't know of anything else. Do we have anything else?
No, sir.
All right, folks.